Hello good people. Today I wanted to give a quick demonstration of a project I'm working on, which is called my pseudocode tutor. So basically I wrote a little interpreter for pseudocode, and this software here, if you've seen my query tutor, it's a very similar layout. We'll have a set of questions. So at the moment I've only got 3 questions in there, but this will all be filled up probably with 100 questions or so, a bunch of different topics. And if I just click into one of the questions here, it'll deliver me a question here saying greet the user by outputting the text hello world. So down here I need to write pseudocode, and our pseudocode has particular conventions. So one is that it always starts with a begin and an end tag. So I'll put those in. And I want to output something, so I use the keyword output, and I simply give it a string. So I'll say, not capitals, I'll say hello world. Close the quotes, and then I'll run that. And what it will do is we'll run any tests associated with that question. In this case, there's only one test because there's no input that's going to change anything. So what we expect to see is hello world. What we actually got from the code I just wrote is the output of hello world, so we passed the test. Okay, if I change something, so let's say I forgot to put the end tag and I run it, well, it'll tell me that value error, missing the end token. If I didn't have the beginning, it would be the same thing, missing the begin token. So if I pop that back in there, we should now have a successful run again. Okay, so I'll move on to the next question to give you an example of input. So in this one, you don't just write out hello world, you take in the name of a person and you have to print out hello and their name. So we'll go with our begin again. Now to read in input, we use the keyword input. It's going to be the name. So after I've read in the name, then I want to output hello again, but this time I also want to print out what we read in name. So I can put a string literal there, hello, and then I can add the variables. So that will just put those two things together on one line, and that should pass my tests. Oh no, I've missed something. There's an indentation level issue, and it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Yep, I didn't indent them the same. So now, yep, we have that all being true. So with pseudocode, it relies on white space, so all the white space has to be equal if you're in a block. All right, so that's some very basic pseudocode. You can see we've got these conventions. I'll give an example here that I did earlier before the recording, and this one says you need to read in the name and age of user. So you can see I've got input name and age. I've got it around the other way just to show that it doesn't really matter which way you import it or input. I could have input name and then input age, doesn't matter, as long as I call in both of those things. And then I've got my if, elif, else structure here to determine if they're a child, a teenager, an adult, or senior citizen. The language is fairly complete right now. I don't have any questions to show you right this second, but it does handle nested loops. You can do while loops, you can do for loops, and you can do for each loops. And as you can see, you got if, else if, and else structures. They all work. So when I go implement all these questions, the language should be more than enough to complete everything we need. Okay, so this one I've done earlier, so that should pass all the tests. So if I have a look in here, there's 5 different tests. One where the name is Henry and the age is 12, one with Sally who's 20, and so on. So this attempts 5 different runs of this program using different input. It shows us what the output is that we expect, and it shows us the output that we actually got. And in every case, the output we got is the same as what we expected, so pass all the tests and we got true. But let's just change one. Let's say we got this wrong and we said age is less than 15, then you're a child. So let's run the tests again. And you can see for all these green ones, it still worked, but we've got an example here with Mary is a teenager. My actual output is Mary is a child, so that's wrong. So the good thing about what I've created here is it not only catches syntax errors, but it also catches logic errors by having these different test cases. So for example, if I get rid of this end if, and I go to run the tests, it tells me you're missing the matching end if for the if statement. So that's a syntax error. So I'll put that in there. And if I have that 15 still there, then this is a logic error. So my code is runnable. There's nothing wrong with the syntax of my code, but there's a logic problem. And the logic problem is that a child should be under 13 in this case of this question. So if I run it again, I now pass all the tests and I get the big green band down the bottom that says I've passed all my tests. Again, if you're familiar with my query tutor, you'll be familiar with the show progress. There's only 3 questions here, so you get a block for each one. If you passed all the tests, it's green. But let's say I go back here and change this again back to 15, and I run them. I got one here, it's false, I didn't pass all the tests. So I go show progress, and you can see that that one's in orange saying it's been attempted, but it's not yet successful, whereas these 2 have been attempted and they have been successful. If you haven't attempted a question at all, it'll be grey. Again, the topic lesson, if I'm under the input-output section and I hit topic lesson, it gives me a lesson on input-output. Obviously, I haven't done a full lesson here yet. I've just got a placeholder. Whereas if I was in a question under the Boolean section and I went topic lesson, then it would be a lesson on Boolean. So depending on what question I am or what section I'm in, will give me the appropriate lesson if I forget how to do something. So this is just the early stages. Obviously I need to put in all the questions, all the different sections. There's a lot there to do. There's server synchronization as well that I have to implement, but it's going quite swimmingly right now. I'm very happy with where it's at. So I thought I'd just do a quick video and show you all the progress I'm making with the My Pseudocode Tutor, which to begin with will be aimed at Queensland secondary students, mostly year 11 and 12, to match the requirements of their external exam. After that, I'll modify it so that it handles the grammar of the International Baccalaureate as well, so the IB program. So it should be useful to quite a lot of people to give them lots of practice at how to write pseudocode, so when they get into the exam it will be second nature. Okay, I'll get back to you at the next stage, the next milestone. See you later.